It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. Niccolò Machiavelli. Do you feel that? A deep, unshakable weariness that settles into your very bones. A cosmic weight you carry from the moment you wake until you collapse into a restless sleep. You feel it's your sacred duty to keep the world in perfect, harmonious balance, an invisible, spiritual contract you never consciously signed. You are the peacemaker, the tireless diplomat in your own life, bending and breaking to please everyone, to masterfully navigate the turbulent waters of human emotion, and to avoid the storm of conflict at all costs. You were taught that this was the path of the enlightened, the way of the good person. If this feeling, this profound exhaustion, resonates deep within your soul, if you feel like you are finally seeing the truth behind the mask, I want you to know you are not alone. Let the universe and everyone here know by typing "I am not alone" or 777 in the comments below. Like this video and subscribe, because today we are breaking the chains you didn't even realize you were wearing. You are tired. Perhaps you can't even pinpoint the exact source of this soul-crushing fatigue, but it's there, a constant hum of low-frequency energy draining your life force. You feel it in every interaction, a silent obligation to be the pillar of strength, the source of comfort, the one who always understands. You feel as though you are perpetually carrying an invisible world on your shoulders, a burden woven from the expectations and emotions of others. It has become your unquestioned mission, your life's work, to maintain a fragile equilibrium, to ensure everyone around you is happy, content, and at peace. You've become an expert at pleasing, a master of avoiding conflict, a connoisseur of politeness. You've polished your smile into a shield and your kindness into armor, but you're beginning to realize this armor is weighing you down, not protecting you. This constant performance, this endless emotional laboratory become your sacred obligation, but it's an obligation that is slowly, silently, destroying you from the inside out. You were taught a beautiful, comfortable lie, a story whispered to you from your earliest days. They told you that being a good person was the highest virtue, the surest path to reward. They promised that if you were just, honest, and humble, the world would unfailingly recognize your light and reflect it back to you. They convinced you that kindness was a universal currency that would always be honored, that your goodness was a seed that would inevitably blossom into a garden of love and respect. You learned this lesson so well, you made it the very foundation of your identity. You believed with all the purity of your heart that the good always triumph in the end, that fairness would be met with fairness, and that your gentle spirit would be cherished and protected by a just and benevolent universe. It was a comforting tale, a lullaby for the soul that promised safety in a world that often felt chaotic and unpredictable. But what if I told you, with the unwavering conviction of someone who has walked through the fire of this same realization, that this entire belief system is a lie? A comfortable, seductive, and profoundly dangerous lie. It's a story crafted not to empower you, but to keep you manageable, to make you predictable, to render you controllable. It's the invisible cage that has kept your true, divine power locked away. Think about it. How many times have you held your tongue, swallowing the fire of your own truth, just to keep a fragile peace that was never truly yours to maintain? How many times have you erased your own needs, your own desires, your very self, just to shield others from a moment of discomfort or disappointment? You have become a ghost in your own life, a silent spectator to your own diminishment. How many times have you stood by and allowed someone to cross your sacred boundaries, to disrespect your spirit, to take brazen advantage of your generous heart? And what did you do in those moments? You smiled. You nodded. You whispered, "It's all good," while a silent scream echoed in the chambers of your soul. You swallowed your tears. You suppressed your righteous anger. You choked down your pride, all in the name of a twisted, counterfeit version of virtue. You sacrificed your power on the altar of being nice, a virtue that, in its distorted form, has only served to make you invisible, to make you a target, to make you utterly and completely ignored. You have been playing a rigged game, using a rule book that no one else is following, and it has cost you dearly. Now, listen. Listen with your soul, not just your ears. The universe, in its raw and unfiltered truth, does not reward the nice guys. It does not operate on the frequency of naive, submissive goodness. The world, this grand energetic stage, rewards the strategic. It rewards those who understand the divine laws of energy, value, and respect. It rewards the ones who are aligned with their authentic power. If you are here, watching this, it's because your higher self has guided you to this message. You are here because you have felt the sting of this truth in your own skin. You have felt the raw, burning frustration of trying to be the perfect, pleasing personae, good friend, the understanding partner, the selfless child, only to find yourself depleted, disrespected, and heartbroken. You are beginning to awaken to a staggering paradox. The more desperately you try to be accepted, the less you are genuinely respected. The more you give in, allowing your boundaries to be trampled, the more others will relentlessly demand. The more of your precious energy you pour into undeserving cups, the less you are truly valued. Your very essence has been commodified, seen as an endless resource to be tapped by those who have no intention of replenishing you. And this is precisely where the stark, illuminating wisdom of Machiavelli pierces through the veil of illusion. He was not the devil, not the monster that history has often painted him to be. He was a supreme realist, perhaps one of the first thinkers to have the courage to tell the naked, uncomfortable truth about the dynamics of human power. He understood a fundamental law that most people refuse to accept, a truth they hide from behind veils of idealistic morality. He knew that pure, abstract morality, completely detached from the gritty reality of the world, is not a shield, but a trap. It is a prison of our own making. He saw with crystal clarity that being seen as good is not the same as being effective, is not the same as being fair, and is certainly not the same as being worthy of respect. In this video, we are going to strip away the filters. We are going to take off the masks. We are going to talk about why you must, for the sake of your own soul, stop trying to be a good person. And no, this does not mean you are destined to become cruel, cold, or heartless. It means it is time for your divine awakening. It is time to shatter the childish dream that the world is inherently fair and that being virtuous is a passive state that guarantees reward. We will expose the truth, no matter how uncomfortable it may be. As long as you are trapped in the cycle of pleasing everyone, you will remain a willing hostage, shackled by your own misplaced kindness. Your goodness, which should be a source of strength, has become the very chains that bind you. And if you are tired, truly tired of being used, of being ignored, of being taken for granted, and then casually discarded, then perhaps it is finally time for a profound shift in your energetic frequency. It is time to learn from Machiavelli the brutal, liberating lessons they never taught you in school. It is time to finally, irrevocably, take back control of your life. Are you ready? Then let's begin. The world doesn't reward the good, it rewards the useful. Do you still believe, deep down, that the world truly values and rewards good people? I urge you, open your spiritual eyes and look around you. Who are the people who are truly admired, who command effortless respect? Who are the ones who hold positions of leadership and influence, who move through the world with a sense of unshakable purpose? Who earns genuine respect? Who is granted influence? Who naturally commands their own sacred space? Are they always the most generous, the most self-sacrificing, the most compassionate? Or are they the most strategic, the most assertive, the ones who are the most difficult to manipulate and control? The truth, when you dare to look at it, is brutal. The world is not governed by the frequency of passive kindness. It is governed by the law of utility and the vibration of power. Machiavelli understood this with profound clarity centuries ago. He didn't write The Prince as a manual for tyrants or a guide on how to be malicious. He wrote it to pull back the curtain and show how the game of power is actually played. He was revealing the hidden mechanics of a world that operates on principles far different from the fairy tales we are told. And one of the most bitter, yet liberating lessons he offers is this: simply being good is not enough. In fact, in many cases, Being naively good is the fastest and most direct path to being discarded, devalued, and destroyed. You can spend your entire life being the most loyal friend, the kindest partner, the most understanding soul. You can give the very best of yourself, helping others without ever expecting a single thing in return. But the moment you are no longer useful to them, the moment your purpose in their narrative has been served, you will be forgotten, you will be replaced, you will be silenced. And the most heartbreaking part, it will happen without a shred of guilt or a moment's hesitation from the other side. This is because the world does not measure your intrinsic worth by your morality. It measures you by what you deliver, by the influence you wield, by the impact you make. It is a transaction of energy, and if you are constantly giving yours away without demanding respect in return, you will be left energetically bankrupt. Have you ever noticed that the nice guys, the people pleasers, are always the ones chasing after others? They are in a perpetual state of justifying their existence, explaining themselves, trying desperately to prove that they are deserving of love and attention. Meanwhile, those who set firm boundaries, who are not afraid to say no, who present themselves with clarity and an unshakable sense of self-worth, they are the ones who are respected. They are the ones who have a voice. They are the ones who command their own space. And why? Because blind, unconditional kindness, without the backbone of strength, is perceived by the world not as virtue, but as weakness. Because those who never confront, who never threaten, who never stand their ground, are not taken seriously. They are not seen as individuals with their own sovereign power. They are seen as a resource, a tool, a means to an end, but never as a presence to be reckoned with. You can kill yourself trying to please, but if you do not represent a force of consequence, if you do not project an aura of self-respect, no one will hesitate to use you for their own ends. It's a harsh truth, I know, but it is the fundamental reality of the energetic world we navigate. Machiavelli said that a leader, a prince, should not seek to be loved, but to be feared if forced to choose between the two. And what did he truly mean by that? He wasn't advocating for tyranny. He was speaking of a deeper truth, that true, lasting respect arises from the perception that you are someone with the power to act, that you cannot be trampled without a reaction, that you are not a replaceable pawn in someone else's game. This profound wisdom applies to you too. If you continue to live your life solely to be pleasant, to be agreeable, you will continue to be seen as someone easy to discard. This isn't because you are a bad person, it's because the world does not reward those who allow themselves to fade into the background. It's time to understand where this unhealthy, self-destructive desire to be accepted at all costs truly comes from. Because behind your kindness, there is something much deeper, something that may have been silently sabotaging you for your entire life. And that is exactly what we will explore now. In the next part, we will dive into the psychological roots of those who live trying to please, and we will discover why, so often, being nice is just a disguised, sophisticated form of fear. If this content is making sense to you, if you feel a stirring of recognition in your soul, click the subscribe button and join us on this journey of awakening. Thank you for your support. The psychological origin of always wanting to be good. You weren't born with this insatiable need to please everyone. This was not part of your original divine blueprint. It was something that was taught to you, a program that was installed in your energetic field. And worse, it was a form of conditioning, a survival mechanism you learned to adopt. From your earliest childhood, you learned that being accepted, being loved, came at a price. The price was giving up pieces of your authentic self. You learned to offer forced smiles when you felt like crying, to swallow your own vibrant desires to make room for others, to silence your opinions to avoid making waves, all in the name of receiving a fragile, conditional approval from the world around you. Don't do that. It's ugly. Be nice. Don't respond. You're so polite. Little by little, these subtle messages molded you. You shaped yourself to fit the expectations of others, chipping away at your own soul to become the person you thought they wanted you to be. But what no one ever told you is that this constant act of pleasing is a deeply insidious, emotional trap. It is a psychological prison, but its walls are built with poisoned compliments, and its bars are forged from punishments disguised as education. You learned that if you pleased others, you would be loved, and that if you showed anger, set boundaries, or acted in your own self-interest, you would be rejected. Machiavelli does not say to be just one or the other. He says, be both. Be wise enough to perceive who is manipulating you and strong enough to make others think twice before they try. Do you want to be respected? Then you must understand this. The virtue that Machiavelli recommends is not the one preached by naive moralists. It is virtue, a potent mix of courage, intelligence, audacity, and self-control. It is the ability to act with coldness when necessary, to understand that sometimes appearing cruel is the only way to maintain order and command respect, not out of malice, but out of profound wisdom. Here's another quote from him. A man who wishes to act in all circumstances like a good man is doomed to ruin among so many who are not good. And you know this is true. You have been that man. You have tried to be good in every situation. And what did you gain? Abuse, silence, injustice. People do not play fair, and if you continue to play the game as if they do, you will always lose. This does not mean abandoning your values. It means stopping using them as shackles that hold you back. It means starting to act with power, to think about how your goodness is perceived and used by others. Machiavelli was not cynical, he was a realist. He saw humanity without the filter of romanticism, without the veils of idealism. And he wrote The Prince as a manual for surviving in a world where appearance is power and where weakness disguised as virtue is a death sentence. But perhaps now you are wondering, is there any way to balance this? How can I stop being naive without becoming a cold or evil person? In the next part, we will break the false idea that you only have two choices, to be nice or to be cruel. There is a middle path, and it begins with the strength to stop deceiving yourself. The difference between kindness and naivety. There is a fatal confusion that destroys the lives of so many well-intentioned people. The idea that to be good, one must be submissive. That to be a good person, it is necessary to accept everything in silence, to forgive everything without questioning, and to live by swallowing whatever bothers you in order to maintain a fragile peace. This is not kindness. This is naivete. It is cowardice disguised as virtue. And if you do not understand this critical difference, you will continue to be the emotional doormat of the world. True kindness does not require you to nullify yourself. It requires awareness, clarity, and choice. Being good does not mean being a cheerful fool who is always available, always smiling, always sacrificing for those who wouldn't lift a single finger for you. That is self-abandonment. It is emotional dependency disguised as morality. Naivete believes that people will treat you with the same heart that you have. It believes that the world is fair, and that if you are integral, others will recognize that. Naivete expects gratitude, reciprocity, and consideration, and so it lives in a state of perpetual frustration and disappointment, because it is projecting onto others a nobility that simply does not exist in many of them. True kindness is different. It is firm. It knows how to say no. It knows how to walk away. It understands that not everyone deserves your best, and that giving your best to those who have nothing to offer in return is waste, not generosity. You can be a just, compassionate, and integral person and still be feared, be respected, be someone who commands presence, who knows what they tolerate and what they do not accept. Machiavelli, despite seeming cruel to our modern eyes, did not hate virtue. He hated naivete. He knew that in a world full of predators, kindness without strength is just fresh meat in the middle of the jungle. The question you need to ask yourself right now is this: is your kindness protecting you, or is it exposing you? Is it strengthening you, or is it destroying you? Because if your idea of being good involves living by swallowing injustices, accepting crumbs, and blaming yourself for feeling anger, then you are not being good. You are being dominated. And there is an antidote to this. There is a balance point where you do not have to give up your essence, but you also do not have to kneel before anyone. It's a place where you can act with courage, clarity, and emotional intelligence. In the next part, we will explore this path. We will talk about how to stop being nice without becoming a scoundrel, and how to finally take control of your life without betraying yourself. If you want to regain your self-respect, this is where the transformation begins. How to stop being nice without losing your essence. Many people who awaken to their own submission fall into a dangerous mistake. They believe they need to become cold, insensitive, almost cruel to stop being nice. This is the famous rebound effect. After years of being exploited, you think the only way out is to become the polar opposite, someone tough, indifferent, calculating. But this is yet another trap, because when you abandon your essence, you are not strengthening yourself. You are protecting yourself through denial. And that's not freedom. It is trauma disguised as power. True liberation happens when you learn to be whole, when you stop acting for others and start acting for yourself. It's not about being good or bad. It's about being real. About looking in the mirror and knowing that you can be kind, but you will never again be passive. That you can be compassionate, but you will never again be permissive. That you can extend a hand, but you will no longer beg to be seen. So how do you stop being nice without betraying who you are? First, understand that your voice matters. You have been conditioned to think that complaining, setting boundaries, or disagreeing is selfish. But that is a lie. Selfishness is expecting you to live silently while others speak over you, speaking up, taking a stand, saying, "I do not accept this." That is dignity. It is self-respect. Second, practice saying no. Saying no is one of the most liberating acts there is, and it doesn't have to be aggressive. It doesn't have to be shouted. A calm, firm, and non-negotiable no has more power than 1,000 justifications, because it communicates the essential. You have limits, and those who have limits are respected. Those who do not are exploited. Third, observe who is bothered by your change. These people are the thermometer. If you start to assert yourself, and someone says that you are different, you are strange, you are selfish, it's because your submission was useful to them. When you change, you break the invisible pact that allowed them to use you, and that is uncomfortable for them. But don't be fooled. This is a sign of progress. Fourth, stop trying to be understood by everyone. Not everyone will understand your transformation, and that's okay. You do not owe loyalty to the image they created of you. Your loyalty should be to your truth, to your peace, to your emotional health. Fifth, replace the desire to be accepted with a commitment to authenticity. When you act authentically, you may even displease some, but you attract the respect of those who truly matter. And more than that, you start to respect yourself. And that is the kind of respect that no one can take away. Machiavelli did not write to teach you to be cruel. He wrote to teach you to stop being naive. And the greatest naivety is believing that being nice is enough to be respected in this world. It is not. It takes courage to abandon the role of pleaser. It takes strength to be who you are without asking for permission. But this journey is not over yet. Because now comes the decisive moment, the choice between continuing to sabotage yourself or finally taking the reins of your life. In the last part, we will conclude with a direct, brutal, and necessary call for you to understand that your obsession with being good may be costing you everything, and that the time has come to decide. Do you want to be loved, or do you want to be free? No more being held hostage by your goodness. It's time to be brutally honest with you. How long are you going to keep pretending to be the nice guy? How long will you sacrifice your energy, your voice, your dignity, just to maintain an image that isn't even yours, but that others expect from you? Do you think this is virtue? That it's nobility? This is a prison, a psychological prison, an emotional prison. A cell decorated with false compliments, where you are applauded for being harmless, for being predictable, for not being a threat. But I'll tell you something that perhaps no one has had the courage to say before. No one is going to free you from this. No one is going to come, thank you for all the sacrifices, give you the respect you deserve, and say, now you can rest. That's not going to happen. Because as long as you are willing to be used, There will always be someone willing to use you. This isn't malice, it's reality. And reality doesn't bend to good intentions. You can continue being that ideal of a good person that society has pushed on you: calm, patient, understanding, always available, always saying yes, but prepare for a future of frustration, resentment, and invisibility. Or you can wake up. You can decide here and now that your kindness will no longer be a collar around your neck, that you will act with intention, with presence, with firmness. That you will choose when to be generous and to whom. That you will no longer give what you don't receive. That you will no longer live seeking the approval of others like a dog begging for affection. The truth is simple. The world respects those who respect themselves, and you will only be free when you stop asking for permission to exist. So I ask you, when was the last time you said no without guilt? When was the last time you put yourself first? When was the last time you did something for yourself without thinking about how others would react? Tell me in the comments. I want to know the moment you realized that being nice was destroying you. This conversation needs to continue because there are many people living the same prison, and you could be the spark that wakes someone up. And if this video made you rethink your way of living, acting, and seeing yourself, then you need to watch the next one. Trust me, it's important. The journey is just beginning.